It's a disaster, complete disaster. Trump has, I mean, we have never seen the kind of incompetence that we are seeing out of the White House these days. I mean, Mike Pence a week ago proclaimed that everything was fine. And since then, cases have exploded. He says the economy is opening up, but Texas is forcing to roll back the opening because the number of infections is now completely out of hand. Trump makes fun of face masks. He scorns social distancing, et cetera, et cetera. And as a consequence, the disease is spreading like wildfire. And it's causing immense political problems for Trump. In fact, I think this is really going to end up deep sixing his reelection campaign
Daniel,
because people have lost confidence.
So how
Oh, I'm
are,
sorry.
yeah, you're right. How are the American public responding to media conferences and statements like we've just seen from Mike Pence?
There's been a devastating loss of confidence. I mean, just a week ago, Pence was saying everything was going great, and the figures since then have been little short of catastrophic. So the company, the country, the population, even in Trump's strongholds, is losing confidence in the White House's political leadership. The Wall Street Journal has a devastating editorial today. It says instead of calling Joe Biden Sleepy Joe, the way that Trump likes to, it suggests that maybe he should start calling him by another name, i.e., President-elect, because Trump is heading for disaster. And I don't frankly know how he can possibly dig his way out of the hole that he has made for himself.
Well, we've seen a few of the rallies, and in the past, only have to go back to those 4 years ago, and the crowds, you couldn't get a seat. And it is COVID-19, so you would expect that there were going to be some empty seats, but pretty obvious when you're watching it.
Yeah. I mean, this rally last Saturday in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the hall was 2/3 empty, and people were afraid to go because of COVID-19. Because many of the people there scorned face masks as a matter of deep political principle. Trump does as well, and there's no worse place to be in an epidemic than in the middle of in a closed arena filled with thousands of cheering, shouting, stamping pro-Trump know-nothings who refuse to wear a face mask. So it's a disaster. And the latest figures, by the way, show that the COVID infections are now rising very strongly in Oklahoma as well. So it's really Trump has really made a mess of things.
So what do you make of how Joe Biden's ticking along on the sideline? Is it a case of him just not doing anything out of the ordinary, slow talking, keeping calm, keeping cool, thinking about who he's going to take on to stand beside him?
I think yes, exactly. I think that Biden's strategy is to stay as little as possible, to remain in his basement in Wilmington, Delaware, not go outside, and not get himself into trouble. Because the instant Joe Biden opens his mouth, trouble happens. So Biden figures that the less he says, the better, and he's just sort of watching while Trump digs his own grave.
So what do you expect from the Biden camp going forward? Who's going to join him? Who will be the running mate?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, everyone's talking about Kamala Harris as the likeliest candidate, so I suppose she's the front runner. But I really have no idea. I have no inside information.
It's going to be interesting to see what does happen there. And there he is running onto stage, Joe, showing that he's defying his age. We've seen a bit of that over the course of time amongst not just him but others. Where do we see the whole post-drama in Minneapolis right at the moment?
I mean, the Black Lives Matter protests?
Exactly.
They seem to be petering out, and not only are they petering out, they're kind of petering out in an unpleasant way. Protesters have taken to tearing down statues, and they've torn down statues of leaders of Ulysses S. Grant, who led the Union Army during the Civil War, the man who probably did nearly as much as Lincoln to free the slaves. They tore down a statue of an abolitionist in Wisconsin. No one can figure out what's going on. So the movement is kind of petering out and leaving a sour taste in people's mouths. And ordinarily, that would be very good news for Trump, because Trump likes to campaign against Black Lives Matter, against the protests. He's puts himself forward as a law and order candidate. But the COVID-19 epidemic is so overwhelming at this point that it's Trump himself is being overwhelmed.
How is it in New York at the moment, Daniel? Obviously, we've been speaking to you and others over the course of the past few months, and it was pretty grim there for a while. Or how is it now?
It's much better. The number of cases has plummeted. People are very careful to wear face masks. Our governor, Mario Cuomo, has been very forceful, very consistent in urging people to take proper precautions, and as a result, they've been effective. As Cuomo said, we've tamed the beast, and where emergency rooms and intensive care units were once overflowing, now they're back to their old normal state with lots of available beds. But the problem is out west, in the South and West, places like Houston or Miami, they're seeing the same things that New York saw 3 months ago, and they're about to experience a growing major emergency.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it's such a vast country, the United States, with such a huge population. What is life on the streets like in New York for someone living there?
Oh, it's really fine. Most businesses are still closed. The weather is very warm, and there are a lot of people outside. The parks are packed. Bars are selling drinks for people out in the sidewalks, and so therefore you see a lot of people milling around, at 10 or 11 at night with drinks in their hands. It's relaxed and pleasant. Business is down compared to what it was 4 or 5 months ago, but otherwise it's fine. And New Yorkers have gotten used to the epidemic. They've figured out how to handle it, and so therefore that kind of sense of panic of 3 months ago has pretty much gone away.
Yeah, it's a new normal, isn't it, for many parts of the world, or all
Yeah.
parts of the world. You mentioned Cuomo. Quite often we see politicians like him in moments like this, and they go to bigger stages. What do you think? What do you think the future is for him? Could he end up in Washington?
Could conceivably someday. Cuomo's done a good job on the COVID epidemic, but he's a man with a very checkered past. And when you run for president in the United States, you are no stone is left unturned. Every last detail in your resume is scrutinized again and again. And Mario Cuomo has a lot of stuff to scrutinize. So therefore, I think that I'm not too optimistic about his national political prospects.
Finally, the economy, the US economy. What's the general feel of what happens over the next 12 months?
The general feel is more and more pessimistic. You simply can't run an economy with the epidemic out of control. People won't shop. They won't go to work. They'll stay home with their families and not go out. And therefore, demand will decline, incomes will decline, jobs will decline. The stock market today fell, I think, 3 or 4%, and that's because the outlook is looking grim. It's a shame because the country seemed to have made progress in the first 3 months of the epidemic. But all that hard work and sacrifice is now turns out to be for naught. And the economy is back where it started in mid-March. It's a very, very bad sign for the U.S. The U.S. is not going to come out of this in very good shape, I guarantee.
Just very, very quickly, normally at this time in an election year, we would see the whole news service devoted to what's going on the road with the election campaign. If you had to put $1 on a winner now, would you say that Joe Biden's going to be the president come the end of the year?
I would, but I must say, that's still 4 months away, and Trump is usually a very smart, very canny guy. So I really hesitate to write him off. And Biden is himself not nearly as bright. He's really a slow-witted guy who's showing his age. It's really quite embarrassing. So as things stand now, I think Biden's got it in a walk. But so much could happen over the next 4 months. It's really I don't want to make a prediction.